After several years of being separated, close friends from university days decide to have a reunion. This well-planned reunion was organized by one of their friends, Rafa and his girlfriend Lucia, and they found a house for their meeting. The other team coming for the vacation is having doubts about it, considering that it has been a long while since they have seen each other and they have been disconnected for so long. One of them, Monica, places a call that morning to a mutual friend who will be attending the get-together. She complains about how she will be driving herself down to the location alone, telling her that she has broken up with her boyfriend, Carlos, and will be coming alone. Another couple attending the get-together, Danny, and his girlfriend, Eva, who had just relocated to Sevilla. They all start their journey, and another couple, David, Rafa's best friend, and his girlfriend, Sarah, who doesn't know the gang before, are on their journey to the location. On the way, David is nervous. He was Sarah, or they could stop by the way and go to another place, but she encourages him that she needs a change of environment, and she also wants to meet his friends, so they should continue the journey. David arrives with Sarah, and they pack their car. Rafa comes out and welcomes them with his girlfriend, Lucia. After a close hug between Rafa and David, he introduces Sarah to them and jokingly asks if he is not the last attendant of the get-together. They inform him that Danny is still on his way and another mutual friend, Julia, and her boyfriend, Ricardo, is on the Terrace. After their welcome hug, they go to Terrace to meet Julia, who is super excited to see David. They start a brief introduction and Rafa asks Ricardo if he is also a software guru like his girlfriend, Julia, but he says he's in the humanities and he is a lawyer. Lucia jokingly comments that they complement each other quite well, as Julia will need a lawyer for her negotiations when she tries to buy the domains she uses for her work. They explain to Sarah that Julia buys website domains, and she had her big break while they were in school, so she owns most of the large domains in their world. Ricardo says she doesn't need his help as she is also good at negotiation skills for her job. They ask about Monica, and Rafa sees her parking her car, so he tells them they should welcome her. They all go back into the house to welcome Monica, and she jokingly looks at David and touches his beard, saying that he has changed his glasses and looks better. His girlfriend, Sarah, looks at him after she leaves and asks him if they are disconnected. As the others leave, David looks to the roof of the house and sees a blinking red light. He looks at it repeatedly but can't figure out what it is for. Later, the guests who are around at that time sit to catch up with old times and they all talk about themselves. David says he is now working as a computer technician and he is presently working on a project which should be secret, but he will share it with them. He explains that he is working on a transparent wireless tablets, and as he tries to explain what his work is, Donnie arrives with his girlfriend, Eva. They join the team sitting closely with Monica. David continues his explanation by talking about his new project, and they direct the question to Rafa to tell them what he is up to at the moment. He tries to be humble, not wanting to talk about what he's doing, but Lucia tells them he is a professional at hacking Wi-Fis and personal privacy. He tries to explain his work, saying they are all guilty of using people's Wi-Fi. They all admit to that, and Monica says there was an open Wi-Fi around her house that she and her neighbor uses until the Wi-Fi closed up. He tries to enlighten her, telling her that open Wi-Fi is often a trap. He says he has access to over 15 Wi-Fis of his neighbors, and he also hacks their phones and WhatsApp to see all their private conversations and secrets. He tells them there is a pedophile by his area and a cop. Both the pedophile and the cops are neighbors, and they don't know each other. He also says there is a fun couple in his neighborhood. The husband is cheating with a lady in front of their apartment, and the wife is also cheating with a man around their apartment. He jokingly says the story will end in two ways. Either they kill each other or they end up in bed. Lucia says he is now working on a drone with a router. Once the drone gets near to a person's house, it will copy the router and he can hack into it. Sarah gets uncomfortable with the conversation. She asks him if there's a pedophile around his house and why he can't report such a person, but he claims his skills is only for his enjoyment. David calls him the man in the middle, and Danny explains that when the man in the middle interferes with communication, it will disrupt the chain of communications. She asks him why he hasn't been caught. His friends comment that he changes jobs every time. Once he gets the information he wants, he leaves the job and interviews for another, and since he is smart, he gets the job. She asks him what he wants, and he says he just wants access to information. Then, she concludes that she doesn't see the need. Lucia goes to the kitchen to serve them, and Julia follows her. She tells her she thinks her presence in Rafa's life would change him, and she is shocked that Lucia has joined him. Lucia comments that Rafa works better with a team, and it's quite necessary. They take the snacks out and talk at the table. They talk about cybersecurity, and Rafa tells them they are in a world where everything can be hacked. They complain that news carried that some school kids hacked an app, and it's because the company didn't change the default password. Sarah eventually concludes that if everyone changes their password from the default password, it will save them. So Rafa asks them to play a game. He says he and David will ask everyone 5 questions about their password, and they will guess the password. They play the game with Ava, Ricardo, Julia, and Monica, and they got the correct password. At that point, Eva asks if Google can find anything on the internet, and the friend asks her boyfriend to explain indexing to her. He tells her that indexing works on Google and anything not found through indexing isn't available, and it is on the darknet, so it can't be accessed. Rafa claims the darknet can be accessed through Tor and Bud. David warns him that the darknet has the worst part of human behavior, like prostitution, human trafficking, corruption, and so on, so he should be careful and shouldn't involve in it. They move their conversation to where they think the internet will be in 10 years. After the others give their opinion, Rafa says what he thinks will be the worst of the internet in 10 years will be internet data control. He asks Sarah if she uses social media and tells her if she knows that when she posts something, a person can find out who she is, where she is, who she is with, what she does, and other private information. David tries to caution him to stop scaring her, but he continues telling her that if he does that, he will have the upper hand on her. He can blackmail her and torture her. David cautions him again, and he stops. He goes on to talk about Anonymous. He claims that Anonymous are strong organizations and they have the power to find out information when about politicians. Monica suspects that they are part of Anonymous, so he confesses that he joined them because he is scared of what the future holds, and he wants to be at the safer part. He claims he knows the head of Anonymous, Julian Assange, and although he has spoken to him on Signal, he has very tight security. They talk about the leaked insurance files on WikiLeaks. The insurance files are such that they are available to the public, but they have a password that no one can open. If you can open it, you will have access. They discuss what could be in the file, and Rafa says it's no videos. He tells them he has opened it and seen it. Monica refuses to believe. She asks him to prove it, and he says he has augmented reality on his phone. He asks David to take a picture with his phone, and David sees a bottle that is standing in reality, but on the floor in the picture. They discover Rafa's camera sees things 30 seconds before it happens, and Monica gets nervous. She takes David to the kitchen, telling him it is risky. When they rejoin the others, Rafa says he has called them so they can know what to do. Ricardo suggests they go to the authority, but he claims it may be risky as it's a secret document. Julia suggests that they could use it to make money through casino betting, but the others refuse, saying such things isn't to make money. She excuses herself to go to the toilet and Ricardo follows her. She tells Ricardo the best thing is to use it for money, and when he refuses, she sends a voice note to a friend. She rejoins the table, and David asks Rafa if he has tried to duplicate the app, but Rafa says he had used sequencing, but it didn't work. David explains the Achilles and tortoise sequencing to the team so they will understand. Monica tells Rafa that she has to install the application on her phone to decode it and find its code. He insists that there is no way she can do that because there is a password in its code that stops it from being hacked. She insists, and he gives her his phone. She inserts it into her laptop and tries to hack the password. She figures, along with her friends, that the password is short, and she eventually finds it. They connect it to the television, and they find the variable. They see it's a binary value, and they change it into decimal. They increase the time from 30 seconds to 3 hours and 5 minutes, so they can see 3 hours and 5 minutes into the future. After confirming that, Rafa asks Monica to switch the variable signs, and she changes it, and they can see the past too. Sarah gets overwhelmed and decides to leave. Lucia goes to convince her, telling her that she once asked David to choose between her and Rafa, but he chose Rafa and left her, so she shouldn't put David in such a situation again, as he will choose Rafa. As a result, she goes back. David believes they should not do anything about what they know, but Rafa thinks the best way to counter your enemy is to anticipate them. so they should prepare with it. As they argue, Lucia goes to the computer and changes the variable. She takes the camera and uses it around. She sees the house on fire, and she is the only one surviving. She collapses immediately. They take care of her and try to find out the days she put in and how much forward she had gone. They decide to go forward in 7 days, and they see that no one is in the house. Only a handwritten note by Rafa saying artificial intelligence did this. They find out it may be timbering, and timbering has 4 stages. The last stage is to become Rafa, and when the middleman starts interfering, it will go wrong. They go a day further, and they see Rafa sending a message, and they communicate with him. He tells them that artificial intelligence is looking at them, and someone tried to switch it off, and it turned on them. He stops the message and jumps out. They see he leaves a message that they should switch off their phones. They do so, but they are all scared. Suddenly, David starts laughing. He tells them it's a prank, and he had planned it with Rafa, and the videos are pre-recorded. Ricardo and Julia angrily walk out, telling them it's a... And joke, Lucia tells David that it may cause divorce between him and Sarah. Rafa goes to drink with David on the table. As they try to share the drink, Monica tells them she had installed the application on her phone. They all look at her, and it seems like it is actually real then. The movie ends.